Now we're ready to learn about indirect dialogue. Indirect dialogue is different from direct dialogue because it's not a direct quotation. You're not saying what the person said word for word. In Spanish, indirect dialogue has the same structure as English, so really you can just translate from English and put the verbs in the appropriate tenses. If you're talking about something that somebody said in the past tense, obviously you would need to decide between preterite and imperfect. And you'll probably have some subjunctive in there sometimes. So we're going to start with an example in English. He said he didn't want the tomato. This is an indirect quotation. We are not saying exactly what this guy said. We're just saying that he didn't want the tomato. There are no quotation marks, which makes it indirect. So let's translate this sentence into Spanish. Same sentence but translated into Spanish using indirect dialogue. Él dijo que no quería el tomate. In English, we sometimes use the word that, and we sometimes don't use the word that. But in Spanish, the que is absolutely necessary. The sentence would not be grammatically correct without que. You could potentially leave out the el, but the rest of the sentence is mandatory. So in this sentence, we're using the verb decir and then que, which means said, that, and then basically just repeating whatever comes after said. Él dijo que no quería el tomate. It's in the past tense, preterite and imperfect, because it was in the past tense in English. Well, in English, did you say you have a sister? Remember that I said a lot of the times in English we'll leave out the word that, but the word that would go between say and you. Did you say that you had a sister? Look at this sentence carefully. Did you say is in the past tense, but you have a sister is in the present tense. So let's see what we can do to make this into a sentence in Spanish. Dijiste que tienes una hermana. Remember that in Spanish we have to use the word that, which is que. But other than that, we're pretty much just translating from English. Not so bad, right? What I really want you to be able to do is to take direct dialogue in Spanish and make it indirect. So let's see what we can do with this sentence. No soy feo, dije. Remember from the direct dialogue part that there is no comma, and the dialogue is marked by dashes instead of quotation marks. So let's make this sentence into indirect dialogue. Dije que no soy feo. We basically just switch around the order of the sentence. We take dije, we put it in the front, we add que, because que is absolutely necessary in Spanish, and then we repeat whatever the person said. The trickiest part is figuring out whether you need to use present tense or past tense for the thing that the person says. We'll do another example. Voy a casa ahora, dijo. Once again, marked by dashes and there's no comma. So how do we make this into an indirect dialogue sentence? In indirect dialogue. Dijo que iba a casa ahora. I decided to use the imperfect tense because usually with indirect dialogue, you're asking about something after the fact, after it's already happened. So if it's not something really, really obviously still going on in the present tense, like being ugly or having a sister, I think the best thing you should do is conjugate the verb in the imperfect tense. If you're not sure, the imperfect tense is a good thing to fall back on. Anyway, the verb decir should always be conjugated in the preterite tense because it's something that somebody said only one time.